Many game engines exist and many will be developed over time, but which one is currently the best? Whether you are a novice developer looking for a new game engine in which your fantasies could manifest, an experienced programmer who wants to expand his horizons, or just a random viewer who stumbled upon this video by accident, then this video is just for you. With the help of few seasoned programmers, we'll take a look and summarize many game engines both subjectively and objectively. I personally began programming when I was 10 years old using GameMaker, a simple software for any and all ages. It offers a choice between drag and drop programming for beginners as well as coding in a language called GameMaker language. But what happens when your hobby becomes your job, as it did for Gunnar?
Hi, my name is Gunnar Clovis. I am a game developer. I make a game on itch.io every week, and I work currently for the UNLV Center for Gaming Innovation at the UNLV International Gaming Institute. And I work in GameMaker. I make these casino apps that we use to patent and pitch these casino gaming innovations. And it's a fun job, and I really enjoy it, so I'm here to answer a few questions. So, it's actually my first video game ever was made in GameMaker, but that was back when I was towards the end of 9th grade, so I was very young. GameMaker is a really great engine. I think it's really good to learn in. You definitely need to spend some time studying like computer science fundamentals to really maximize it, just like with anything. But definitely a really, really easy program to work with for beginners, and I really love it now because I don't consider myself a beginner anymore. I've made like well over 100 games at this point and do it for my job. And I find GameMaker incredibly nice and fast to develop in. I can just make prototypes and small games so quickly, which I really love and appreciate with GameMaker. So yeah, one, it's not a GameMaker specific position, and two, I was not looking for it, and I did kind of find it randomly. You could say I got lucky, but you make your own luck. Everyone gets kind of the same general random amount of luckiness applied to them over the course of their life, regardless of what field you're doing, whatever it is you want to do. Everyone gets lucky sometimes. The important thing is making sure you're set up to take advantage of that lucky moment, to actually capitalize on it. And so yeah, you make your own luck by putting yourself in a good position to really follow through when an opportunity presents itself to you. Unreal takes a percentage cut of your royalties after you make a certain amount of money. Unity, after you make a certain amount of money, forces you to pay for a yearly subscription. GameMaker doesn't do any of that. GameMaker is just a one-time purchase to buy each export target minus the consoles, which you have to buy yearly because that's due to Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft. But yeah, for the core of GameMaker Studio 2, which I use, I just had to buy the Windows, Mac, and Linux distributions once. If you're making a 2D indie video game, I really recommend GameMaker. If you're up for it, that's what I would use for any of my indie games that were 2D, because yeah, just cost a lot less compared to Unity and Unreal. Yes, I love GameMaker, and I'm never gonna stop using it, I don't think. Because again, I make these games in GameMaker for my job, but I also make a game about every week, mainly in GameMaker for itch.io. The games I don't make in GameMaker for itch.io, I'm actively forcing myself to not use GameMaker to try and diversify my portfolio and get me more reacquainted with a lot of these other game engines and technology. And so yeah, I love my job with the UNLV Center for Gaming Innovation, and I plan to be involved there pretty much indefinitely for the time being. But I am currently interviewing for another position at a larger gaming technology company. It's a good question. I really like the general kind of workflow of GameMaker. It's just very quick. I feel like anything I see my friends, and I still use Unity occasionally. I help run Unity game development group, and but the things I see my friends doing in Unity that are 2D at least, of course. The 2D games I see my friends making in Unity, I feel like I could make in GameMaker in literally like a tenth the time. But yeah, it's not like the most performant thing in the world. It's not low level in C++. It's the memory management is automatic like Java or C# or something. But that performance is not the most important thing in 99% of cases. More than that. Performance is something that you can deal with later. And just kind of the general workflow I find to be a lot easier than kind of other as for things I hate the most about GameMaker, the number one thing is that they use BGR instead of RGB for the color system. This is the most infuriating thing in the world. This is by far my most hated aspect of GameMaker, which actually says a lot because it's a pretty minor thing. Really, the only other thing that comes to mind is the when I need to upload or load in a lot of sound files, which I have to. And doing that within GameMaker currently, unless there's a way that I have not been told about, I don't think there is. It's super, super annoying because you have to individually make every new sound asset, and then you have to individually click onto each one and then select open file location to select the right WAV file. And it doesn't actually tell you which sound effect you have selected. It doesn't show like a preview or like it doesn't show the name of the file that's loaded into it, that's attached to that resource. It just shows the name of the resource within GameMaker. And so sometimes you might select the wrong sound effect, and I haven't labeled it sound_jump, but it's actually the shoot sound effect. And that's a super, super annoying bug to fix within the editor.
GameMaker is a multi-platform software. You can make desktop, Android or even web projects, but it's primarily used for 2D games. Not that making 3D games is impossible, it is, but it's a lot more complicated than on the other engines. One of GameMaker's 3D enthusiasts is Orbis.
I have the most amount of experience with GMS2. Despite it not being built for 3D, it's still fairly easy to work with thanks to its community that makes and shares creations, tips, and tutorials. Yes, I've tried widespread engines like Unity or Unreal Engine, but after spending so much time in GMS, I really don't feel like learning a new programming language and sit through hours and hours of tutorials. My biggest personal issue while making 3D projects is coming up with ideas and techniques that make me want to go back and reconstruct half of my project. On the flip side, it's amazing to see what all you can do in GMS2.
One of the biggest development engines when it comes to 3D as well as 2D game development is Unity, which offers C# programming. Subnautica, Kerbal Space Program, Cuphead and many more titles have been made with it. Unity has a massive community including numerous schools all around the world that teach with it. As long as you don't earn more than $100,000 over the span of a year, you can use it for free. Otherwise, you will be required to pay $40 a month. Editor is widely customizable and with connection to Unity Asset Store where you can download textures, models as well as editor functions, namely the visual programming called Bolt. AlonellyFox is a programmer who moved from GameMaker to Unity.
The main difference between Unity and GameMaker is that Unity can be used to develop 3D games. Aside from that, Unity uses C# as its scripting language, whereas GameMaker uses its own scripting language GML. Unity is also much accessible for beginners. It has free license with only one limitation, revenue and funding limit. GameMaker, on the other hand, offers only 30-day trial version, and their cheapest option costs $39 per year, and you can publish to only one platform. I'd say for a complete beginner, it's easier to start with GameMaker, since it has visual scripting and its own sprite editor, so you don't need any third-party applications. But for intermediate developers, it totally depends on their preferences. Personally, I think it's easier to develop in Unity, since it has way more helpful tools to help you with 2D development. For example, 2D platform component for one-way collision, pixel perfection, 2D lights, and many more. Only thing I can say for sure I dislike are engine bugs. I didn't encounter many of them, and most of them were fixed by just restarting the engine, but there are some and they are annoying. What I like, on the other hand, is that you can make your own editor windows or custom object inspectors to help you develop your games faster. And also that you can program shaders using Visual Shader Editor Shader Graph. I wanted to make 3D games, and Unity was the first engine I found that was free to use and you could publish your games for free. And also because it was the most popular game engine among indie developers.
Unity's rival is definitely Unreal Engine. If you have ever looked at a game and said to yourself, "What? This is not even a game, this looks just like reality," then Unreal Engine is accountable. Unreal Engine, just like GameMaker, uses drag-and-drop programming called blueprints or writing code in C++ language. There's no fee for making games as long as you don't make more than $1 million with it. If you do, you'll have to pay 5% of earnings. And as if that wasn't enough, in 2021, a completely new, long-awaited Unreal Engine 5 will be released. With us today is Falanor, lead programmer of a promising horror strategy Werewolf of Transylvania, which began as a custom map for Warcraft 3.
Yeah, Unreal Engine was my first engine that I ever tried. Main reasons behind it was because it's using C++ as a main programming language, and by that time I was pretty familiar with C++. I was comfortable using it. Besides of that, my friend was using Unreal Engine as a professional tool. He was working in a game studio company that was using Unreal Engine as their main engine, and he was so amazed by it. He would just constantly, day after day, tell me about Unreal Engine and how he is happy about using it and how he's amazed by that he eventually convinced me to first try it, and then I started using it myself at first for some personal projects and later for some professional. Yeah, Unreal Engine is very easy to learn, in my opinion. Reason behind it, there are many reasons behind it, actually. First of all, I think the most impressive tool that helps new people in Unreal Engine are blueprints. It's a system of graphical programming, if you can say so. Well, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it, but it's the thing that helps people that are not familiar with some coding or programming become comfortable in that environment. It's really easy, and sometimes I'm using it myself, even though I prefer to write my code on C++. But sometimes when I plan things, especially, or when I'm just doing something really small and something really quickly, I use blueprints as well, because it's super easy tool and it's really great, I think. Also, second thing about Unreal Engine being really easy to learn is amount of really professional tutorials both on YouTube and in text format or, I don't know, web page. especially the official ones. You can find them on YouTube channel of, I believe, Epic YouTube channel, and they have special series about pretty much everything that you want to learn, like starting from programming itself, or I don't know, shading, animating, texturing, well, pretty much everything. And they're very detailed and pretty long, I would say. So it's not some unprofessional short ones like 1-2 minutes. No, there are several hours just in that particular subject that you want to learn about, and it's really detailed. Like, I really love it. That's actually how I started learning it. I just went to YouTube channel. I was completely new to the engine, and this is where I found most of things that I use until today, pretty much. Well, of course, if a person is not familiar with how programming is working, or if he did only some parts of development, for example, if he's an animator and just an animator, it may be a bit confusing at first for him to go into pretty any engine, actually, not just Unreal Engine, but he needs to first understand how game engines work in comparison with, like, for example, full CG. Well, as I mentioned already, the first reason was because it's using C++ as main programming language, and I'm familiar with that language. I have pretty much a lot of experience in it. Well, not a lot, but some experience with C++. Second reason, I think it's the rendering quality. I'm not sure if that's a valid reason, because it's like it's a rumor pretty much. Some say that Unreal Engine has better capabilities in visual side, or rather rendering side of the engine. The thing is, like, you don't have to pay anything. You have full engine in your arms. You can use it as much as you want. You have all the tools available to you, absolutely for free. And only when you start getting some income or profit, you will have to pay. And I personally find it really fair system. Well, other thing is amount of free tools and plugins for Unreal Engine. Again, those are absolutely free, and they have really high quality. Also, one of the biggest benefits, I think, for Unreal Engine is that it's fully open source system. And open source gives you great opportunities because you can see the changes in the code and how the system is working in general, and you can even add changes inside of the system. It's not prohibited. Actually, developers say that you're absolutely free to change anything you want, any part of the code, any part of the engine. You can introduce your own edits. Okay, so things that I don't like about Unreal Engine, and one of the biggest thing that I absolutely hate about Unreal Engine is interface. Their graphical interface is terrible. Not just in style, but, well, of course, it's just my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's just what I think. It's not only in style, I think it's outdated, I would say. I don't want to say ugly, but it's outdated. And also, sometimes it becomes a bit too much space is being taken by buttons and things that I don't want on my screen, and I cannot hide them. Or if I hide them, it's really hard to enable those buttons when I need them. That's what I find annoying in Unreal Engine. Yes, it is possible to create 2D games in Unreal Engine. To be fair, as I know, Epic stopped development of their main plugin for 2D games called Paper 2D, I believe, not too long ago. And I think they focused their development process mostly on 3D games and kind of gave up on 2D ones. So I would say that you can use Unreal Engine for 2D games, but I would recommend using Unity for that mostly, because Unity is known to be really good for 2D games, and not just 2D games, but in general for mobile development as well. If you use Unreal Engine for 2D games, you will have issues. Well, not issues, but rather it's a 3D engine. And when you do 2D games, you will still have third dimension, which will be calculated in everything that you do. Like if you're doing movement or collision, physical collisions, everything on that part will be calculated in 3D, even though you can cut the third dimension, but it still will be calculated. So it's kind of a waste of performance, I would say. But in general, that's just my opinion. I would not recommend using Unreal Engine for 2D games, because Unreal Engine is it's a bit too big tool for using it for 2D games, I would say so.
If you have made it to this point of video, then you should probably already know which game engine is best for you. If you don't, then no worries, just sit down, take some rest and think about all the information you have just heard. I know it was a lot of information, but imagine this video being even longer, like hours longer, because we would try to cover all the existing engines in the world. That's just too overwhelming. On the other hand, this decision is still critical for your game development, because it can save time, money or even resources in the future. If you would like to support any of those great programmers that were involved in this project that took hours and even more hours to create, or my great video editor, then just go into the description and there will be a lot of ways to contact them or to see their work. And also, if you liked my work, then just feel free to subscribe or like this video, share it with your friends, or you can anytime come back to this video and just rewatch it if you would like to hear the answers and the questions about game engines again. So I hope you like it, I hope you find this video helpful, and see you next time.